Traffic on the left, a savoury breakfast of sausages and baked beans. Days of rainy weather and green meadows as far as the eye can see. There's no doubt about it. We're in England. For 3 days, we will accompany farmer and contractor Richard Lennie, who bales more than 10,000 round bales every year with his Göweil G1 combi. The blue combination baler stands out as the machine from Austria is still fairly unknown in this country. How did it come about? Why did Richard dare to try this experiment? What makes this baler different from all the others? And what is so special about forage harvesting here in the British Isles? Questions upon questions, which we will get to the bottom of together in this video. Richard Lennie is a farmer and contractor. Today he is on the road with the Göweil G1 combi, baling silage for his cows. High yields, wet grass and unpredictable weather. That's the order of the day here in the UK. That's why Richard needs powerful machines that he can rely on 100%. This is perhaps also the reason why he opted for a Göweil combi baler back in 2016. But more of that in this video. Review. 3 days earlier, we visited Richard on his farm near Chester in the northwest of the country. Here the farmer keeps 150 cows and their young stock. He also uses his machinery on other farms. This primarily involves the classic services of forage harvesting, from mowing, tedding and swathing to baling round bales. Richard stores hay and straw bales on the farm. He needs some of them for his own animals in the winter, and he sells the rest to other farmers. Travelling with us is Phil Keyser, an American by birth. Phil works for Göweil to make the brand and its machines better known in English-speaking countries. The British weather continues to show its best side during our visit. Pouring rain means that Richard once again has to stay at home with his machines. It's been like this for a while now.
2 nice days, rain. 2 nice days, rain. 1 day, rain. Obviously we've got wet today, this afternoon. Looks like it's going to be quite a lot of rain this afternoon. And then it looks like over the weekend's wet and all next week's wet. So I'm desperately want the weather to pick up because I'm starting to get quite frustrated that I know we're going to be baling hay and straw at the same time, which I don't really like doing because you're going to struggle for time. Early on in the season it was very dry here and I genuinely thought we were just going to walk over the summer. I thought by this time now, and what is it now, late July, we would have had all the hay made, and I've probably got at this moment over 100 acres standing.
Richard has been active in the round bale business for many years. Initially with the Velga solo baler, later with a Lely. The merger with a wrapper and a combi frame from Göweil in 2011 triggered a small revolution.
Lely actually came here, took my plain baler away, and they fitted it into the short line frame for me. And then that first season I never looked back. It was a revolution. You just went out to work on your own. You didn't have to organise a wrapper man. It didn't matter what time you came home at night because you didn't have someone saying to you how much longer are we going to work for, and it was just absolutely changed my life. Unbelievable.
Everything seemed perfect, but fate was not kind to Richard. Just 4 years later, the baler-wrapper combination was destroyed in a fire.
In 2015, we had a very bad fire. Lucky to save the tractor. All within 20 minutes. We basically turned up to bale some hay for a customer. I'd only gone round the headlands, looked behind me and there was dust smoke everywhere. And by the time I'd got out the tractor, it was just game over. I couldn't, all I could do was pull the drawbar pin and drive forward. I've still got the control box in my office from the fire years ago.
After this setback, the contractor needed a solution quickly. Lennie was unable to offer a suitable machine, but Richard saw a few alternatives in the professional segment. His customers were increasingly asking for film binding, a technology that only a few balers were capable of at the time. This ultimately led to Göweil in Austria. Now that the manufacturer was on the market with its own round baler, the time seemed ripe. Richard took the plunge and bought a Göweil G1 combi, the first machine in England, in 2016. 5 years later, he upgraded to the improved second generation, which he still works with today. We're lucky the next day. It has stopped raining, the sun is shining, and it is supposed to stay dry until the day after tomorrow. Richard seizes this opportunity and drives out into the field with the mowers. It's mid-July, a late second cut. This grass should actually have been turned into hay, but the weather has thrown a spanner in the works. The growth is already old. To save what can be saved, Richard rescheduled and decided to bale some of the area into silage. The contractor also uses the 6-meter wide mower combination from SIP for other farmers. Over the years, he has built a good reputation in the region for reliability and clean work. While the grass dries, we use the time to visit some of the farmers for whom Richard harvests the forage. One of them is dairy farmer Mary Selby.
So my name's Mary, and I farm in partnership here at Goulburn Hall in Cheshire with my dad, Hugh Rankers. I've been in partnership with my dad since 2016, and we milk just over 100 pedigreed Holstein cows, 255-acre tenanted dairy farm. We've been using Richard for a long time. In fact, I can't remember a time when we haven't been using Richard to bale our silage for us. So the bales that Richard does, they're always really tightly wrapped. They've got a good thick layer of wrap on them, and then they've also got a really nice wrap of netting around it too. So they're sealed brilliantly. We don't really ever see any mould on them or any damage. So the cattle love it. You know, they're really, when we choose the right grass that's baled correctly, the cattle just chomp away. And you know, we've had some good results in terms of growth rates from the heifers, and also with the cows. You know, it keeps their milk production up when we're needing to buffer feed.
We drive on to the Robinson family, who are the 4th generation to run a dairy farm here. The 250 cows spend most of their time in pasture. The focus is on the animals, and that takes time. That's why farm manager Phil Robinson outsources the forage harvesting to various contractors.
We rely on contractors for all the forage. We cut 3 times a year for the cuts. We generally use round bales as for young stock and dry cows. And we've found a lot of success using Richard to do the baling. He's a very good contractor. He manages to fit you in. He'll come in the evening to do the work, which fits in with us. And the bales are solid. You get the bales, you know, are nearly a ton in weight, so you have less bales to move. It's really easy for us. He can sometimes, if we're baling land away and we're going to leave them off a while, he'll put a plastic film on the outside of them so that they keep better. Most of them are net wrapped, but we have found issues with that when we do wet bales. It's very hard to get the net off, but if you use the film, it's a lot easier. The weather in the UK can be quite difficult to manage with the rain and the droughts, etc. So when we have an abundance of grass on paddocks, we'll take out a 4-acre paddock and we'll round bale that, and we'll just take that out of the grazing platform. So that means the grass isn't too long for the cows when we're grazing them. Otherwise, once it gets too long, it's of no use to us because it takes you too long to get across the paddocks, and then all the others start to go to seed and get ahead of the cows. So we'll often take 2 or 3 paddocks out. Rich will come and bale them, we'll move them off, and we don't have to open the silage pit to cut them, and you know, you're only doing like a 12-acre pieces at a time, and that works really well.
The bales are heavy, but Phil Robinson copes well with them. The high bale density brings many advantages to the farm.
Oh, well, it's great because a heavy bale, you've got more in it, so it's less bales you have to open, it's less plastic. So I know that they're a slight larger diameter, but they're packed extremely tight. We've had hay off the same baler, and the bales, you can't move them. They're absolutely, they're really heavy, and it's great because it's less to move, it's less everything, less wrap, less everything. So very beneficial for us to use Richard, and his baling system works a treat.
In the late afternoon, we visit Springfield Farm, where Matt Ackley and his wife keep around 65 beef cattle. Here too, the animals graze on the pasture. The farm's own breeding bull protects his herd and ensures regular offspring. Matt has not used the silage clamp for years. It is now used to store round bales, which the farmer neatly stacks on top of each other. He only has good things to say about Richard and his Göweil combi.
Yeah, we've had Rich do our bales now for about 5 or 6 years. Very good bales, chops very good on them, better than other competitors around that we've tried, and the feed quality is very good too. We have no wastage on the bales at all. The bales are a lot bigger than other competitors as well, and it's chopped all the way through. I've never seen anything like it before, as in chopping wise. Chop quality is like a self-propelled really, it's that chopped. They just draw straight to it. You don't pull it out the ring feeder either at all. Every bit's gone like in the morning really. We do about 500 bales a year. Richard does about 500 bales a year for us, he does. We sell a fair few as well now because we have less bales, but there's more quantity in the bales there is, weight-wise, and chopped a lot more. It's getting a lot more in them.
The next morning, we have another appointment with Richard on his farm. He has already hooked up the baler, and he's giving it a wash, especially for our cameras. The trained mechanic attaches great importance to ensuring that his machines are in top technical and visual condition. This gives him more pleasure at work, and the machine loses less value over the years. We drive out into the field. The grass is well wilted and ready to be harvested. Richard takes his long-serving New Holland 8160 into the field to rake. The class centre swather, on the other hand, is being used for the very first time today. The contractor hitches up his most powerful tractor to the baler-wrapper combination. The New Holland T7185 has been optimised to 200 horsepower. A good compromise. When working in hilly terrain, Richard will like a bit more horsepower from time to time. However, he appreciates the short wheelbase because the field access roads in this country are often narrow and winding. Like many machines in England, the baler is attached via a simple drawbar eye. The machine has an easy time with the even, loose swathe. But the grass is not always as dry as it is here.
We do get customers then that want to mow and basically just row up and bale straight behind the mower, which the old ladling machine would have struggled to take the infeed. But the intake on this machine is superior to any of the machines I've used before. It will take basically just fresh mown grass straight in. The bales don't always keep perfect shape. 2 or 3 days later they can be a bit flat, but obviously that's just because of down to the weather. I mean, if we all had perfect weather, everything would be perfect, wouldn't it?
The chopping unit of the Göweil G1 is located above the rotor so that it's easily accessible from the front. Richard changes or rotates the double-edged knives often for consistent cutting quality and low power requirements. As standard, the contractor uses the machine with half the set of knives, as shown here. He charges a small surcharge for all 30 knives. The Göweil G1 then achieves a theoretical chop length of 35 millimeters. A unique selling point, and for many customers, the main reason why they commission Richard with this machine.
The chop length is far superior to any of the competitors. The chop is better than the McHale, better than the Kuhn, and better than the Lely, which I take a lot of pride. I used to take a lot of pride in the Lely balers, and I supported them all the way. But the chop length is far superior out of the Göweil machine, and easier driving, less horsepower, and less blockages when you're chopping.
Should the machine nevertheless get plugged up with heavy crop, the blockage can be removed in no time at all.
One of the big changes is with the automatic floor opening for the blockages. That saves a lot of your time, because obviously with the old ladling machine you'd have had to go onto the spool valve, open the floor, restart the PTO, close the floor, put your knives back in. But obviously the Göweil machine does that automatically. As soon as the PTO overloads, if you restart the PTO, the floor's up and the blockage goes in. So that does save you a lot of time.
Richard operates the entire machine via ISOBus. Unfortunately, the tractor only has a small terminal. Here, you can see that it is no longer the youngest. The contractor can monitor the baling, binding and wrapping process via 2 cameras. He has used a skillful strategy to make film binding appealing to his customers.
As soon as that season started, without telling any of my customers, if we went to do 100 bales for them, I'd do 30 film on film, switch the roll off, finish in net, and then that winter when they've opened them, it was a surprise. And then, a few of them did say, "Oh, yeah, that was nice, and the produce was better." Especially if they're going to keep them for a longer period of time. If they don't use them all that winter, if they end up going over to another winter, the produce is better kept inside and wrapped up.
The larger farms in particular have quickly recognised the advantages of film binding and no longer want anything else. In addition to the better feed quality, this technology also simplifies plastic recycling.
A lot of people in the UK have skips on the farms where they put the plastic in, and the bale twine. That obviously gets carted off for recycling then. That's another plus. People will prefer the film on film because they can actually put it all in the one skip together.
Bale transfer is extremely fast. The wrapper moves under the bale chamber. The chamber opens and the bale comes out. Less than 10 seconds, then it's on again. While the double arm wrapper is wrapping the forage in film, the next bale is already being produced at the front. The short-cut grass combined with the high bale density and film wrapping are the ideal ingredients for hard-edged bales that retain their shape in the long term. Firmer but fewer bales per acre. Isn't the contractor working against his own business?
Oh, the bale density is far superior. You're giving grass away. When you go to a job, the bales are too tight, really. If you slackened them off a bit, you would make a few extra pound, but that's what you're out to do: produce a decent shaped bale, as tight as you can for what you're charging. The most thing that gets said to me is we can get 5 or 6 McHale bales on the bottom of a trailer, but we can only just about get 5 Göweil bales.
Word has got around about the good work. Many farmers have jumped on the bandwagon and are now specifically asking for the blue baler, which clearly sets Richard apart from all other contractors in the region. Although he is not the cheapest provider, his customer base is growing all the time. It is therefore not surprising that he is already thinking about the next steps for expansion. Even a recent stroke of fate has not deterred him from his path, because Richard is a farmer with a heart and soul.
This year is very difficult for me because I've lost my father. He worked alongside me ever since I could drive a tractor, and it's been very sad. Big change to my life, and I've never seen it coming. Basically, he was 100% fit, and then he wasn't. So, but yeah, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to push on. I think if Dad's looking down, he'd want me to do that, so I've got to carry on. I've just recently purchased some land over not far from the yard, a 30-acre block, and hopefully next year we're going to put a new cattle shed on there, and when you actually leave school, you don't know what you want to do. Dad sort of said to me, this is what I was going to do. I didn't really have a lot of choice. We used to have a few rows and disagreements, but that's just life. And I think in the end we got on quite well, and I like doing it. You're not going to do it if you don't like doing it. The biggest problem is finding operators. I could find plenty of drivers, it's just operators that I can't find. But yeah, I'm gonna expand, keep expanding. I'd like to purchase a Göweil square wrapper in the future, and obviously I will have another combination unit in 2 years, maybe. Next year, maybe.
Dear viewers, if you are now curious, then contact the Göweil company today. Phil Kieser and his colleagues will be happy to help and advise you and show you the G1 combi in practical field use. Until then, you can watch more videos about the machine on our YouTube channel.